bounce around a little bit off of that context, and then we'll take some calls.
Okay.
That's awesome. How close?
It's my first time doing it YouTube live, but it's set up, so it's getting a little wonky.
Go ahead, I'll give you 2 more minutes.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I'll force you to do something right now.
That sounds good. Facebook.
We did YouTube the other day, right?
Yeah, with webcams, there's a little bit of a difference there. You have a second to get some context with baseball cards.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Ask me.
Yeah, so I mean, these are I just kind of wanted to list out a few cards that you predicted would rise in value.
Yeah.
Can I just invite until you're
Giant cards, number 292.
Hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
Jonas Ruby cards.
Yep.
298, 2013 Pinky Prism,
Yep.
PSA 10 grade.
Yep.
That's, you said if you get them to 250, 300, it'll go to 800 in 4 years.
They're already at 550.
Sure. Then Michael Jordan, rookie sticker cards.
This is already at 1500. So you got this data from other things, right?
Just from what you said, and
Where?
also like from different sources like 4Ds and things like that, where you mentioned these prices.
I mean,
It's not
you don't
much
even need to like
information.
show the predictions. You can literally show in a fucking month how much this is going to
That's
cost.
working on Facebook. It's going through, so just YouTube.
I don't want to put exact times. I want to. This is good because it's 30 years, and LeBron and Kobe, I'll give you less than like that in 10 years.
Less than 10 years.
In less than 10 years.
Oh, awesome. All right.
So you got this.
We'll just
You're gonna skip
Facebook.
Just Facebook. Cool. And Instagram.
Right there.
You got. Are you live now?
Not.
You are. They just heard that whole baseball card
Yeah.
conversation. I love that.
So the link you guys gave me, was that to YouTube?
To Facebook.
That was Facebook, okay. Are you doing live on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay.
You're good to go.
Good. 309. Hey everybody, it's Gary Bay, Nerd Chuck, and this is episode 309 of the Ask Gary V show. I'm excited to have a wonderful entrepreneur to take your questions. So Instagram and Facebook, start throwing in your phone numbers with maybe a hashtag or two or data point of like where your question is going to give Raghav some indicator. But obviously, as we get into this episode, more data will be thrown out, and so you can add on that, continuously put your numbers in there, and we will pick some for the call. But this young lady has built a very impressive resume. We met on the Today Show doing some entrepreneurial stuff, and I will let Ali say hello. So for the Vayner Nation, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
So my name is Ali Webb, and I founded a company called Dry Bar. I feel like there's a lot of men in this room, but for all the ladies out there, we are a blow dry bar. Really, the
Actually, it's only 4 to 3. This is actually the best ratio I think we normally have ever had.
I'm looking at all the guys.
Yeah.
Well, not just. I
Go
love
ahead.
Dry Bar.
I'm pretty pumped with the 4 to 3 ratio.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
Go ahead.
So yeah, we were the first. We started 10 years ago. We have 125 locations across the country, 4,000 stylists.
When did you start?
2010.
And when you say you were the first, because I'm very aware of the movement, maybe just
There's been a movement.
right. So
There was nothing like it when I started.
nothing.
Nothing.
And so back to that. And I think, by the way, real quick for all the entrepreneurs there, one of the biggest questions I get is people take so much emotion in inventing something or adding on to something a little bit differently, and then when there's something successful, there's fast followers, and they get so upset about that. And I'm like, look, that's just market dynamics. just because I'm just excited.
Yeah,
How
I
do you
mean,
deal
listen,
with that?
I feel like, to unpack that a little, we didn't invent blowouts. We just
Right.
created a much better experience around it, and the advice I
And
give,
went all in. Right?
yeah, and we just kind of changed the game. And the advice I give entrepreneurs is like, there may be something out there that exists that you love, you just wish was done better, and we created a much better experience and price point and location around blowouts that just did not exist. You used to have to go to a full service salon or a
Well, that's what I
discount
was about to
chain,
ask.
and the experience just wasn't great.
It was.
You were overpaying.
Am I
or-
wrong in this? Wasn't it just one of the menu items versus
Exactly.
the core item?
It was a menu item, and it was also one that most stylists didn't want to do because they wanted to use that hour to do a haircut that you could charge a lot more from. They didn't want to do a blowout, which was less money. And it's funny because it really harkens back to the day of like our grandmothers and grandmothers' generation where they'd get their hair coiffed and they wouldn't touch it for like a week. We kind of modernized that behavior. But
Love.
make no mistake, I did not know. None of us knew. My brother, Michael Landau's my business partner, also bald. Like, none of us knew that what we were, like, what was in front of us. We didn't realize how big this opportunity was. I was going to open one store in LA, pick up my kids from preschool, and
And
like,
have a nice
that was going to be
business.
my little life.
Yeah.
And then, the fact that, like,
The
we
market
realized
responded.
we so underestimated the demand.
Let
Yeah.
me give you a comp, and then we'll go back to the origin story. I for a while now, about 20 months, it's been running through my head that like a French fries only restaurant, QSR, would dominate, right? You didn't invent French fries.
Oh man, that
it was a
sounds good.
side
Did
dish.
you get like all different flavors of French fries?
Yeah, I'm really hot on the whole concept of like the different ketchups and mustards and salts, but one core French fry. So it's not like 7 different French fries. My concept
salt.
is this crazy French fry that everyone's about, but it's the other things, like the 11 different ketchups, the 11 different mayos, the 11 different mustards, and like the 13 different
Interesting.
salts.
Except that French fries are so bad for you.
Yeah, but
But
so
they're my
many things are
weakness.
bad.
No, but they're my weakness. At least we have a healthy
Every
addiction.
single person is getting brain cancer from cell
I know.
phones. I don't need to hear people's like
But
hot
no,
takes
listen.
on
If
French
there was
fries.
if that was like the last thing I could eat, it would be French fries. I love French fries so much. So
So
I am
good.
all in on this business.
All right, we've already. I
Listen,
knew
do
I was
one
gonna be.
thing and do it well. That's my concept.
That's right.
I know,
though.
that's the French
so,
fry concept.
so you started Dry Bar.
Yes.
It's 125 locations.
Yes.
Franchise model or all yours?
They're predominantly company owned. I'd say we're about 40, give or take, franchised, and the rest company owned. Which
Go ahead.
I can make the argument either way that
I
there's
agree.
great things about franchising and there's not great things about franchising. And again, I can make
Look, the beauty,
argument either way.
and the reason you can make an argument is now here we are 75 years later, and both independently owned corporate entities and franchise models both have a place at the table.
They really do. They really do.
The question is the mix of the two is always a fascinating
And
thing.
it's challenging because it's a whole business finding and running a franchise organization, and there's a lot. It's just a different set of problems, and
100%.
issues. So, but yeah, I think both are great, and we've.
Where's the
we've
momentum in the
fascinated.
company now? Like, is it?
Product is a big push. I mean, we have almost over 3,000 points of distribution. We're in Nordstrom, Ulta, Sephora. We're international with product. We have a massive product line from tools to dry shampoos to shampoos, like you name it. And what's great is if you don't have access to Dry Bar, but you know and love Dry Bar, which luckily most women know about now, you can buy the products and do kind of replicate what we're doing in the shops.
Let's take this way back. What kind of girl were you growing up? Were you entrepreneurial? Were you like sporty? Were you
Well, if you
nerd?
asked my parents, they would have been like, they would have told you I was such the underachiever. My brother, Michael, who I mentioned, total overachiever. Michael P. Keaton, which I know you get that reference. I don't know
That's
if you
his.
listen to
What do you?
No.
Oh God,
Do
but
you
he
remember
was.
from
Yes,
Family Ties?
of course. Michael
Yeah.
J. Fox.
Yes, which I'm sure a lot of people listening don't know that reference, but he was like the overachiever of the family. And, I've always been
You were
this kind
Mallory?
of- I was like, I don't totally remember her. I remember her, but not her character. But I was just kind of like, I'll work out, and I was never really worried about things.
Where did you grow up?
South Florida.
Mhm.
And my hair is naturally curly, so in South Florida it was very frizzy, and I was always trying to figure out how to get it straight. And I used to beg my mom to blow out my hair, and that theme of hair and trying to figure out my hair kind of was always there. And I feel like the seed was planted to do something in hair when I was a kid. But then, as I grew up and went to high school and college, and well, I didn't really go to college. I went for like a minute, and I just, all my friends knew what they were going to major in, and I really didn't know, and I was so lost and confused out of high school. And I went to college for a second.
Like a semester?
I think
half a
I
semester?
think I maybe went for a
'Cause
year.
you went
I
by
don't think
hero.
I went to like class all that much because I was like, what? They're not interested in anything.
To make you feel comfortable about this conversation, this is my high school report card. This is
Oh
my
my God,
high
let's
school report card.
Yeah, I mean we're about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
notice that there's
Yeah,
only 4
which, by
A's
the way,
all in gym.
here's the greatest thing about one of my favorite things about my life is that I get asked to speak at colleges all the time. And every time they ask me, I'm like, I didn't actually graduate from college. I just want to be upfront with that. But that just goes to show you that, and not that I'm against college. I mean, go to college, get an education however you can. But my parents were entrepreneurs, so I grew up in an entrepreneurial environment. So I didn't know I was getting that education.
They didn't frown on. So
No, because my parents didn't go to college either.
but a lot of parents go the other way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
so
yeah. But my parents were so
that's
cool
pretty
and
progressive.
chill, and they were like, "We just want you to do what makes you happy." They weren't so thrilled when I made the decision to go to beauty school because I think they.
and is that what happened next?
So I went technically to Florida State. I just didn't go to class very often
Yes.
because I grew up in Florida.
Yep.
And then I was like, this is not for me. I moved home, and then I moved to New York City. I thought I wanted to work in fashion. I worked for like Nicole Miller and Cynthia Raleigh. This was like 25 years ago. And then my brother and I started Nicole Miller licensed stores in Boca, which is where we grew up. Realized didn't want to do that, and Michael and I were fighting so much, and I was like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? And I was like, the only thing that I'm really passionate about is hair, and I want to learn how to do hair. And I had worked at a hair salon in high school where they would blow out my hair, and it was so magical to me. And so I said, I think I should go to beauty school. My brother, by the way, was like, you should go. I can see you doing editorial and fashion shows in New York. And I had this grand vision of what I would do with hair, where my parents' stores were like little old lady clothing stores and like retirement communities in South Florida. And they were like, you want to go work at beauty parlors? And I was like, no, I want to do something amazing in hair. And of course, I didn't have the vision of Dry Bar back then, but I took the plunge, went to beauty school again, to my parents' dismay.
And how did that go?
They supported it and paid for it. I feel like my mom was paying off those loans forever from beauty school because beauty school wasn't cheap either. But I like literally the day I walked in, I was like, this is where I was meant to be.
Really?
I loved it. I fell in love with it. I wanted to learn everything I could learn. It was the only thing I was ever really passionate about, which again is such a good example for people out there who are like, they feel like maybe the thing that they're passionate about isn't like a great career option,
It's my singular thesis.
Yeah.
I really believe somebody watching right now who loves, Star Trek or Black Panther
Whatever
or
it
Fortnite,
is.
I really genuinely, or making homemade jam, I believe it.
Yeah.
And I believe it because of the internet. I didn't believe it in 1963 because there wasn't a system to go into.
Yeah.
Like, you can start a Black Panther Instagram account and a podcast and be active on Black Panther forums and Facebook groups, and over time
Get traction.
yeah. And something could happen.
Yeah,
that wasn't real.
We're so living in the day where like anything can happen and anybody can make it doing all sorts of stuff. And I think that I'm a great example.
I apologize, but I think making it is the biggest conversation that entrepreneurs like you and I who've made it need to start helping the next generation, because making it, I believe, if you love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and you make $100,000 a year because you have 4 sponsors, Nickelodeon,
right.
The convention, who knows, right? And you make $100,000 a year hosting a TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja, like podcast and Instagram account, is a much better life than making $213 as an executive at McKinsey and being grossly unhappy and taking sleeping
because
pills.
I mean the term "making it" is so relative.
No, and I'm so glad you're jumping on this. It is probably, I believe that with anything that works out for you, I don't think it's a sense of responsibility, but I like giving back to the game that put me on. Mm-hmm. So I love entrepreneurship so much. That like so much of who I am and what I'm about is to give back to the system, but you have to update the system, and we have to update what being successful looks like. It has to be happy, not rich. It has to be.
Yeah,
it has to be.
I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, money was not the driver ever for me. I mean, money was like gravy. It was like, we're gonna actually like make a living doing this, amazing. But it was never about money, and we didn't pay ourselves for years. When we first started Dry Bar, it was never about money. It's never been about money. And even when we started,
you have a family when you started?
Yes, I had 2 sons, and they were 3 and 5 when I started. They're 11 and 14 now.
Let's talk about that for 5 seconds.
Okay.
I really want. This is a subject matter that I've been wanting to get more into.
Okay. Well, it's a particularly interesting subject matter for me because I'm going through a divorce, but that's public.
Yeah.
But
so let's put that aside for a second.
So it's been quite a year for me.
I respect that, and I'm sorry to hear that. But what if you can indulge me?
Yes.
I think one of the other things that I like to do is talk about what I know, and I like to talk about things I've lived through. I will never have the luxury of being an entrepreneurial mom.
No.
And I think
that's never going to happen.
That's right. That is not in the cards.
You have kids though?
I do.
Okay. All of your kids?
9 and 6. About.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
It's just they're both very close to 11 and 7. 9 and 6,
Yeah.
almost 11
Gotcha.
and 7.
Okay.
And and I think people have I hate when people think they understand something that they'll never be.
Mm-hmm.
I love when people are like, I get you. I'm like, no, you'll never be an immigrant. Like, I get you. You're never going to be a woman or an African American or Muslim during this time. Like, you can be sympathetic, you can be empathetic, but you'll never fully know. So I want to take advantage of this because I have a humongous audience. I spend a lot of time engaging with mother entrepreneurs, but I never go all the way with my advice because I don't want to give advice that isn't predicated on things that I've tasted.
Mm-hmm.
I have thoughts and theses. We all do.
Sure.
But I want to take advantage of this.
Yep.
How much, if any, this is right off the top, a core question that I'd love to hear your perspective on. How much, if any, guilt did you feel?
Tons. Always.
This is something I don't believe a father will ever feel anywhere in the same world as a mother.
Fucked up? Sorry.
I don't think so.
Can I curse?
You can curse a lot. I don't think it's fucked up.
But
I think
it is because
Explain.
I'm on panels all the time and I speak all the time and people always ask that question to
Please.
women, like why don't you feel guilty as a father when you don't get to be home with your kids as much as you could
because it's the propaganda that we were fed.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what I mean.
That's what I mean.
I also think I'm curious about this. I'm curious about the process of giving birth. Right?
Well,
Something
that's
else
fun.
I will never feel.
That is not fun.
I'm making an assumption,
It hurts.
though I have no idea, that there is some sort of connection point that is fundamentally different when a human's in fucking side of you and then as a human versus it was never inside of me and look, I think that, listen, I know the way I feel about my mom versus the way I feel about my dad. I love them endlessly both. There's some crazy fucking real shit going on there with mom that's just fucking real.
It's true.
I was inside of her.
Yeah.
Like,
I
lived there for 9 months.
I
That was
would
my
make-
home.
I would make that same joke to my ex-husband and say, like, they're more mine than yours because they literally came out of my
I
body.
genuinely actually believe that.
He didn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was, especially given the context of the
Yeah,
internet,
yeah,
but
maybe that
but forget about should guys or not guys feel guilt. Back to the point.
Yeah.
It hurts my soul because entrepreneurship is hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
It is so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It is outrageously lonely.
Yeah.
It is outrageously
You have
lonely.
to have a thick skin for it, no doubt.
Oh,
And especially if you're a mom. I mean, luckily, my mom actually passed away 3 years ago, but she was there for the beginning of Dry Bar, and when I had my life got so turned upside down in an amazing way, and I had to travel all the time, I had so much great opportunities coming at me, and there was so much momentum and excitement with Dry Bar, and I had to travel tons, and luckily my mom was there, so she was with my kids all the time, and the guilt was massive, but had I had to leave her with a nanny, my kids with a nanny, that would have been
double massive.
God, I don't even know if I could have done it because my kids were so young, and that my mom was there. It was like someone who was family and loved them, and so I felt very lucky in that regard. But listen, that's not to say. I feel like the world is so polarizing right now. That's not to say if you have a nanny and you're an entrepreneur, that's not okay too.
I appreciate that.
That's okay too. Whatever works for you.
Look, I appreciate that, and that's by the way why I don't feel like look. Some people are like, Gary, inevitably, based to your point, polarizing and everybody being so hardcore. Gary, you should feel guilt. No, I shouldn't. You don't know me. What about guys whose mother has brain cancer when they start their business? Do you feel bad for them now?
Yeah.
We don't. My biggest thing is you know nothing about people.
Yeah.
My energy
and you never
right
know
now,
what's going through somebody's.
You can't imagine how different any news now. I'm going through a divorce. 10 years ago, not that I had any judgment on that. It's funny that my brain would think about it for a second. What is that? But I have become numb because of how polarizing the world is.
Yeah.
My hope is this is what's actually going to happen to everybody else because my life has been predicated on doing actions a little bit earlier than others and then figuring it out.
Yeah.
The level of judgment I have on anybody at this point is almost non-existent.
Same.
I don't know what's going on. I know what's going on with Rob and I at work.
To a certain point, right.
Like, he may share something with me. Jason's shared some stuff on families. I got some context. I got a little something. You don't know what's going on with your spouse. You don't know what's going on with your children. You don't know what's going on with your parents all the way.
Yeah.
Nobody knows anybody else all the way.
It's so true. I mean, I feel like my mom always said, like this, I mean,
nobody
relates. Like, if you have nothing nice to say nothing. And I feel like,
fire.
Yeah, you know, it's like you just don't know. And I've always felt it. Like, you just don't know what someone else is going through at any given moment. So you're right. I could not
agree with that statement. All will go through judgment moments.
Yeah.
Whether it's a divorce,
but keep them to yourself.
But that's you know that's you're gonna live. You're living it through your most inner circle, and you said as it gets more public, people at judgment that are watching on Facebook have never heard of you. Yeah. Literally, people are watching. Yeah. Have never heard of you.
I know, it's like the more...
Just heard you say it 7 minutes ago, and whether they typed it or thought it, that's what humans do, and that's fine, that's natural. It's not like I don't have judgment, but I think that much like we started eating better, much like we're now doing better with our mental health and like
meditating.
Yeah,
I just started doing transcendental meditation, which is life-changing, by the way.
Good for you, we'll go to that in a minute. We need to start...
This is going to be a self-help podcast, by the way.
We need to start an anti-judgment process and movement.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
My brother's name is AJ, anti-judgment. I kind of like this whole thing right now. Please put your phone numbers in. I want to get some phone calls in. What was the most ridiculously fun, exciting moment in the early part? Tell me one story in 2010 you started, in 2011, 2012. Give me some story of where you were like, holy shit.
Honestly, there's so many.
I know.
And it's a great question, which I don't think I've really ever been asked that.
And I'll tell you why I've asked it. Because I lived it. I had so many moments, but if I was reversed right now, I'd probably say when Conan had me on his show, when I was doing my wine vlog, nobody from the internet was really on TV yet, besides Perez Hilton. Yeah. And it was like this huge moment where like my brother came from college and we watched it. That was a moment where we were like, holy shit. Give me one holy shit moment. Like, did Oprah come in? Did like somebody mention in a magazine? What was a holy shit moment?
You know Carson Daly.
Very much.
And he had a radio show for a long time. I don't know if he still does. And this was really, I think in 2010, like within a few months of us starting, which reminds me of Ryan Seacrest had a show and Justin Bieber was talking about Dry Bar. I mean, there's so many of those moments. But Ryan Seacrest, we were brand new, maybe 2 or 3 months. And
Carson Daly?
I'm sorry, Carson Daly. I started getting all these phone calls.
And did you, like, to make this story even better, did you love Carson Daly on TRL?
Yes.
Okay.
TRL.
But that's
I knew him because of TRL.
Every day, cool people follow me on Instagram.
And you're like, holy shit.
Yes, but if it's somebody I really gave a fuck about, they may be far less famous. Like, somebody may follow me that's the most relevant Netflix star right now, and I'm like, cool. But like, if a WWF wrestler that I grew up, like if Brutus the Barber Beefcake followed me right now, I'd lose my shit.
Really?
He's there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, so go ahead.
But so Carson Daly had a show, and you would have thought we paid him because
he went off.
He was on his computer looking at our website, talking about all our looks. I think he even said something like, "Oh, look at Allie Webb. Who's this hot girl?" or something like that. And I was like, "He just called me hot. He's talking about my business."
Now I know why this
story.
That's not
the only reason.
That was the easiest tell of all time.
I
love you. That is
really
definitely the reason.
But it was just
if
like
anybody ever calls me hot publicly at scale, it is the core thing I'm excited about. Let's get very basic in here.
It doesn't suck to be called hot
100%.
on national radio.
Especially if you love TRS like that.
And Carson Daly. Which, by the way, I love him. He's married, and his wife is also a Dry Bar. Nothing like that. Nobody think I
also had
like
7
qualify
years
everything I
7
say.
years ago. People are.
It was 10 years ago. I don't even know if he was married then. Anyways, that was a big moment. And then very soon after that, Ryan Seacrest on the Ryan Seacrest show had Justin Bieber on. They literally called Dry Bar.
Why?
Justin was like, "Hey, it's Justin Bieber. I want to make an appointment to come to Dry Bar." And the girl on the phone, God bless her, she was like, I'm sorry, who? And he was like, "It's Justin Bieber, and I'd like to get the Bieber." It was like when his hair was a big thing. Remember when he had the hair?
Of course.
This again was like 10 years ago. And she was like, and she took it very seriously, and she thought she was being like punked because why would Justin Bieber be punked? They got the whole thing on the show.
Amazing.
And none of those things I knew about. People started calling us, and they're like, Dry Bars. And then like Jimmy Kimmel talks about us all the time, but his wife Molly, who's now a friend, who wasn't a friend in the beginning, she's one of his writers, and she would write, and she goes to Dry Bar all the time, so she would write us into the Jimmy Kimmel show, and it was the same thing. I was like, Jimmy Kimmel is talking about us on like his late night
What
show.
was the single scariest day so far?
Well,
the last 9 years, what was the singular toughest day for you personally? And it might not have been like some death blow to the company, but for you personally,
yeah.
like what
I
was
think
a
so.
hard
A while ago, I don't remember how, it was still very new, maybe a year or two in. We were starting to do kind of promotions with big companies, and we were doing something with HBO. We do a lot of partnerships now with big companies and promoting like movies or TV shows because we have flat screen TVs in our shops that you can watch while you're getting a blowout. And we do a lot of partnerships now. But the very first one we did was with HBO Girls, and we didn't realize that they basically, HBO was giving away, it was doing happy hours, so they were giving away free blowouts to like the first, I don't know what it was, like 100 people who called, and it was just one happy hour, and I think we had at the time like maybe 20 stores, and those people who called first got free blowout. We promoted the shit out of this to our entire audience, which was like, I don't know, a couple 100,000 at that point, and we were giving out a couple of 100 blowouts, which was way more, we disappointed way more people than we actually like delighted. So it was such a fuck up, and we didn't realize it at the time that we needed to kind of like purse it out and not tell everybody they can win a blowout.
What you're saying is the first, right?
percentage
So the
count.
first group was pumped, and then
and then but what happened is it like totally backfired on us because so many more people couldn't get in on
and
it.
you're like, go fuck
We,
yourself,
like,
I've been loyal
teased
from
it.
day one.
Yeah, and we were like, oh shit, and they were right. And people were upset, and I was getting so many like mean emails. We had to like categorize them, and I had to like make a statement to the press, like I'm so sorry, like we messed up. We didn't realize we didn't do this right, which now we've learned our lesson, and we're like more careful and methodical.
Phone numbers. We're about to do questions, please. You got one?
Yeah.
Go ahead. That makes sense.
Yeah, it was crazy.
There's really not much more disappointing than when you think you're on the verge. More importantly, yes, of course, but when you think you're on the verge of something super cool, you're like pumped about it the day before, you're like, this is going to be awesome, and then 4 seconds in, you're like, oh,
and then you get your ass kicked, and you're like, oh man.
Who's this?
Nadia.
Hello?
Hey Nadia, you're on the Ask Gary Vee show with Ali Webb.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
It's not that crazy. You put a phone number into the screen.
Love today.
So you're here.
Oh my gosh.
Where are you from? And what's your
first
question?
of all,
Yes, go ahead.
Gary, I've been following you for like 7 or 8 years before I even graduated high school, and you've totally changed my mindset in so many ways.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful for that.
Thank you.
Ali, I am a pretty recently graduated hairstylist, so I've only been working for like a year and a half.
Amazing. Congrats.
Dry bar was my first hair job ever.
Amazing.
And so I worked at the Louisville, Kentucky location.
Amazing.
So wait,
And-
Nadia. Basically,
Yeah.
Ali and I are completely responsible for your life.
Yeah, honestly, kind of. It's really crazy. And I'm so grateful to have been able to work at Dry Bar to begin with, because it really set a ground for me as a stylist, because it gave me comfort and guidance.
Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry.
I didn't really have to have like that scary moment of like, oh my gosh, I could really screw up somebody's hair. So it was a great foundation for me as a hairstylist, and I left about it's probably been like 8 months ago, because I wanted to pursue hairstyling as a like a full service gig. So I wanted to color, cut, that whole thing.
Okay.
Anyway, I have really just been hesitant to put myself out there on social media, which I've done before. I've worked with, brands, and I had a blog and stuff like that, and I kind of took like a break from that, but I'm struggling to get back into it, and
what's the true answer? Is it because you're starting from a low point and you don't like the perception of not having a lot of followers? Is it you don't feel great about how you look? Is it that you're don't know what to say? Like what's the real answer? Let's save time here.
I think it comes down to if I put myself out there and say somebody comes to me because they like something that I posted, and then if I disappoint them in the hair salon, that's gonna
Listen,
kind of...
let me tell you, from somebody who's been doing hair for 20 years, I have disappointed people, and I have made a lot of people happy. You will never not disappoint. Like, there will always be something that doesn't work out. I mean, it's when I talk to stylists, and sometimes it's chemistry. Sometimes this is something I tell my stylists all the time. Like, You could do something with someone's hair that the person next to you, a stylist next to you, would do the exact same thing, but they might like it better from them, because sometimes it's just a chemistry thing. The way they like the way you touch them, they like the way it feels, they like your personality, the way you look. I mean, going back to judgment, it's like,
oh my God, I would be the greatest hairdresser ever, or the person, because I would just appease the person's insecurities. That's 90% of the reason people go.
Which is so true. And by the way, that's such a great insight that you have that.
Thank
because
you.
the other thing, it's Natalie, right?
Nadia.
So the other thing is, like, just be confident. People can smell fear on you. If you're a hairstylist, like, people are expecting you to be really confident in what you're doing and like fake it until you make it in this industry. You just have to come at it with this, like, I am, not being arrogant, but you have to be confident in what you're doing. And you have to understand that, like, not everyone is going to love you. But if you come at it with this, like, you think you're great, you're going to give them something great. And if you don't, you don't, and you move on to the next.
Nadia, I think I'm gonna build on what Ali said. Look, I think faking confidence is very hard. I really do. But let me give you something that I think could really help you. As to somebody who has an enormous amount of confidence, who's desperately afraid of letting anyone down. I'm going to say something that I believe very much, and I genuinely think might work for you. You do know that the ability to fix a mistake is the greatest part of being alive.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
So let me explain. I see a great post. I love the last 6 things you did on your Instagram. I decide to DM you. I come to you. I pay you $98, $150, whatever. You do your thing. I look in the mirror. I go, what the fuck? At that moment, you are in control, not them. You can give her her money back. You can give her 3 hairstyles for free in perpetuity. Like, you can do whatever you want. You're in control. That may not be what everybody thinks is the right move, and I fully understand that. But, like, most people don't think most things I do is the right move. What Ali thinks is the right move, based on her reaction, what I think, this is what's so great. There is no right. There's only right for you. For me, I use money, right, as a way to subsidize the way I feel. And so if I don't feel good about it, I'll give you a great example. Back to even the nuance of me and Ali's body language of this answer. If I cut the hair, Ali says this is dog shit, and I feel like Ali's completely out of her mind and just one of those kind of characters, I'm not giving her another cut or her money back. If Ali says this is dog shit, and I say, I was worried about my grandma's health today. Like, I knew I had another appointment on the back end, and I did rush it a little bit, and I don't feel great. My ability to do something about it right then and there is real. You shouldn't worry about it, because the reality is you're actually in control.
And I agree with that, but I do think that as a hairstylist, like, when you're first starting out as a hairstylist, because I've been in her shoes, like, it's very jarring, and especially like you were saying about cutting someone's hair, doing something, making a permanent change. I remember I was so nervous. Like, I felt like I was like, I was gonna cut people. When I first got on the floor, when I first started doing hair, I was like nervous I was gonna cut people. I was so fucking scared.
Yeah, of course.
But you have to. I understand what you're saying about not being able to fake confidence, but I think you do have to dig deep and be like, I've got this. If it doesn't work with this woman, it doesn't work. It's okay, and it is a learning, and it's not going to always work. I don't think every haircut I ever gave has been the greatest haircut, but I learned from every single haircut I did.
Look,
and you can cover it up with a great blowout.
And I think the other thing is just understanding you're in control. I mean this. Whether these 2 perspectives bring you value or not, it's understanding you're in control. Like what? Like what's gonna happen? Like perspective matters too. Like, I don't know. You know how scared I am every day when a 16-year-old who's getting like mentally abused in his home grabs my arm in the middle of the street and asks me what he should do with his life. Like, it sounds super scary to cut somebody's ear when you're cutting their hair. You know what's more scary? Somebody who's so bought into you that whatever comes out of your fucking mouth is how they're going to live their life in a disproportionately scary situation. The reality is, I know my intent is pure. I'm doing the best I can. I try to hedge that, hey, here's my point of view, kid, but give it to, have something, and I think you're in control.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I appreciate that a lot from both of you.
All right, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right, let's get another. Isn't the
It's
call
so fun. Let's do this all day.
Listen, no joke. It's funny you said that. I was thinking the other day, like, I put out so much content, I do my thing, but this is such a rarity for me. Like, I run a 1,000-person company. I'm an operator.
Yeah.
And I always say, what would happen if I was just Gary Vee at all times? And I said, man, I would literally do a morning show called Tea with Gary Vee. Ironically, I'm drinking tea right this second. And I would literally do this from 7 a.m. to 11 every day. Every day.
That's like my big dream, is like having
the number you have dialed is not in.
That's what I want to do. That's what I kind of want my next thing to be, a talk show. Not a call-in, like a TV talk show.
Look, I think,
I'm putting it out in the universe.
What, back to you and I having two different kind of angles, not points of view, angles. Give me, while Raghav's getting the next answer, don't send me yet, because I have a really funny question, because what I really enjoyed in that call was a really important thing, which is, I hear advice from people that are successful all the time that would have never worked for me. Mm-hmm. Right? And I give my 2 cents on things all the time, and I can't necessarily give the right advice for that person. Give me something that you thought you heard or read, or advice your parents gave as entrepreneurs that ended up being very different than what worked for you. Was there anything?
I feel like my parents were much more conservative with their business and the way they went about things, and their stores were like, these like little old lady stores, and they didn't spend a lot of money on the decor and making it look and feel a certain way.
It was more utilitarian than brand.
Yeah, it really was. And like I remember when Michael was trying to get them to go switch from like literally cash register to computer, and they were like very resistant on it. They were kind of.
My dad didn't take credit cards in his liquor store when I first started.
Yeah, I'm sure, and that's how.
In 1993.
That's how my parents were, and when we told them we were spending, $500,000 in the build out of Dry Bar, they were like,
you guys are idiots.
You're out of your mind. It's like, what are you doing? So, and honestly, I have to give my brother a lot of credit, because he knew this award-winning architect, Josh Heidler, who helped him build all our stores, and was like, he had that insight even more than I did, that like we have to spend a lot of money to make it look beautiful so people want to be there. Even though I wanted to charge $35 when we started, because I wanted this to be an affordable luxury that women of all walks of life could do. And Michael had the insight to make it look really beautiful and high end, awesome. Instead of juxtaposition. And that's also like the beauty of a partnership.
How much do you think aspirational affordability played out in your success?
Tons.
I couldn't be more passionate about this subject matter. You can't have Jay-Z's home. You can't have Jay-Z's girl. You can't have Jay-Z's plane. But you can drink the same champagne that Jay-Z has, and that's why that works.
And that's exactly, was my thinking on it. Was like, I want this to be something that you can do if you're not a celebrity or can afford to have somebody come to your house.
In Kentucky, not just folks in New York.
Even in LA. Like, there's a subset of, obviously there's a lot of celebrities in LA where I live, but there's also a lot of like college students and like, working women who don't have, can't spend $150 or $300 on a blowout to go to a wedding or on a date or whatever it is.
What was the price of the blowout when you launched?
$35.
And now?
$45.
And then you go 35, 40, 45, or 35, 45?
It's been a slow build, which, I really didn't have to, but we do.
But that makes a ton of sense. That's why I asked. Like, I knew without knowing that's inevitable.
Yeah.
Cost of goods, reality, like
rent, like real life.
You can't go out of business. That's zero.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, it's Gary Vaynerchuk. You're on with Ali Webb on the Ask Gary Vee Show. Who's this?
This is Virginia. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Virginia.
Oh my God, this is awesome. How are you doing?
We're doing super well.
Awesome. Good to talk to you, and you too, Ali. It's great to be on.
Nice to meet you.
Where are you from, and what's your question?
I'm from York, Pennsylvania. I work a full-time day job in an office. Also work as pretty much a full-time dog trainer. I train on evenings and weekends, give myself Friday evenings off from dog training, but, I'm working on transitioning out, really working as hard as I can to, build up enough capital so that my husband's comfortable with me leaving the day job, because it's risky. It's more risky to him than it is to me, but it's risky, and I'm finding very recently that I'm hitting a lot of burnout. I hit burnout like once every couple weeks where I'm just like fucking exhausted. I can't focus at the day job. I don't want to fucking do anything there. I'm doing, dog training stuff on the side, and I just wanted to hear both of your opinions on dealing with burnout when you can't do anything else but trudge through it, like advice, tips,
that kind of thing, and whether either of you have experienced burnout and what you guys did for yourselves to deal with that.
Where's the passion? In the dog training,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
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 I mean,
You know what's funny that you just said that?
because
I
I
don't
can totally tell.
She's also not burnt out. She just can't wait to be full-time dog training.
Yeah, oh, I get it. Okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I feel like this is like a thing where everyone has to pay their dues. And,
Yes.
and it's just,
Preach.
I mean, shit, I did. I'm sure Gary did. Like, you know, you have, and I think that, like, the way that, first of all, burnout is real. And yes, I've had burnout. And by the way, in another life, I had a dog walking business. So I know I am very passionate about doggies too, and I have two.
Nice.
We need some training, so if you want to come out to LA,
I will book a flight.
But you know, I think burnout is real. I think I have two pieces of advice on this. Like, are you taking care of yourself, and are you doing things that make you feel good and replenished? Like for me, I think it was just saying to Gary that I just started doing transcendental meditation, or getting a massage, or a manicure, or maybe just like taking a nap or going on a hike, like finding something that like kind of refuels your soul, and to know, this is the second part of it, to know that like the day job is temporary and it's not going to always be that way. And you may not be able to see that right now, but you're going to get to a point where you're not going to have to do the day job because you've been hustling, and eventually, you know, the pendulum is going to swing towards the dog training business, and you'll be able to quit the day job. You will, as long as you have the passion and you're working really hard at it. You just have to, and I think the silver lining to get you through is that you know there is an end in sight.
Right. Absolutely.
I also think you have to figure out where the burnout's coming from. So I believe that most people get burnt out when they don't feel in control. And where I want to go with this question is the following. I think you're ready to make the move. I think your husband doesn't want you to.
And that's the hardest thing is that, sorry, I'm outside. That's the hardest thing is that he's very encouraging for me. He wants me to go full time. It's financial. We're kind of in a close financial strait right now.
Can
so
you
it's
cut
like,
back on other things? Like, I feel like, listen, like when I...
Yeah, and we definitely are.
And I don't know
yeah.
if you ever have done this, and I was just telling a girlfriend of mine who's like working on a budget, like there's amazing budget apps, and when, you know, years ago, even now I do this, where you can basically you give yourself a set amount of money that you can spend, and you cannot go over it, and you put everything you spend every single day in that, and you basically cut back on things that you shouldn't, like don't eat dinner out.
Do you own
shopping.
your home?
Yeah, we do.
You should sell it.
Yeah, I've thought about talking to him about that, actually.
Listen to me, and listen to me real good. I don't know whether you should sell your home or not, but here's what I should tell you, and I believe it more than anything. Happiness needs to be the ROI of life, not being able to tell people you own a home. Nobody gives a shit. And
Real estate is such a good investment.
happiness is a better investment.
I agree, but
Period. Let's play here.
Yeah.
For example, real estate is a great investment. Let's play it out. Right now, the real estate market's very good. She's burned out every couple weeks. She's not making the move that she already knows she can do. You can feel it through the fucking weird phone, right? And one of the reasons is short-term financial stress. I believe she can sell her home right now in the height of the market, go rent, get way happier. Happiness leads to effectiveness. She starts this dog walking business that is successful, and what she has to figure out on the delta is when the economy gets softer, is the dog walking business going to get hurt more than the appreciation of the real estate? And that becomes a very different kind of question. But who cares how good your home returns if you're unhappy? Especially when another person is dictating your decision.
Yeah, I
Like,
hear you, but
listen,
yeah.
I understand that it's not the most conventional point of view.
Yeah, because like rent, you feels like you're throwing away money.
Yeah, but these are things that we've believed in the past. Your parents thought you were an idiot for $500,000 in aesthetics.
Yeah.
Rent is throwing away money is a 1970s point of view.
But no, you don't. It is paying a mortgage is going towards something. Paying
Yeah, but the
rent
biggest
is
asset
like,
in the world is your mindset.
I agree.
People want to fucking work out and spend money on meditation, and they don't want to spend money on their happiness.
My meditation doesn't cost money.
Respect, but you see where I'm going? Like, people are like, hey, Gary, you need to take a vacation. They do escapism. They
Yeah.
fix the sink, but they don't fix the well.
Yeah.
She's dying inside because she's so ready to run this business, and she has a partner in life that she clearly respects and loves enough to take into consideration.
Yeah.
But she's ready, right? You're ready, right?
Yeah, I have been ready.
I got good news for you.
Absolutely.
You're going to be burning out more often. Once you make the mental switch as a human to be ready for the next thing, you can't hold on to the last
And here's another little piece of advice. I mean, to maybe not sell your house, if you know, is like maybe you go from like the day job that you hate so much into something that's more of a day job in the line of work that you're in.
One piece of advice.
Go work at, you know,
Yeah.
in LA, there's a place called Healthy Spot that's like a dog place. I mean, go work at a place that's at least in the arena of what you love. So when, in the meantime, while you're not ready to make the full-time leap from your day office job that you hate, go into a job that you kind of like, that has to do with dogs, that has to like, that can kind of fuel your passion, but you're not 100% out of a second income.
Right. I've thought about that too, for sure.
What's really, so like, talk to me. I'm really interested in this subject matter. I'm not letting you go just yet. Like,
You got it.
let answer some questions for me. Your husband's working and contributing as well?
Yeah.
Good.
Can you rent a room in your house?
How many extra rooms in your house do you have that you guys don't really use?
Honestly, none.
Good.
We have a really small ass house.
Good. Respect. No, I really appreciate that.
Are you marketing your dog training business? Like, can that get to the next level?
Yeah, I definitely need to start investing in more marketing. Like, I started just by making a profile on thumbtack.com, and I've been like living off of that, but I have my website up and running. I've been getting a lot of organic reach on the website without even putting any money into Google ads or Facebook ads yet. So
What about Instagram?
I have an Instagram page, but I haven't been doing anything with that yet either.
I really want you to go heavy into that dog walking,
And like
localized
cute
services.
pictures of dogs, like
Yeah.
that there's nothing
Yeah.
that gets more attention than like really cute fucking pictures of dogs. I mean, am I right? Everybody in this room is shaking their head. You can get, that's like, it's such a like slam dunk when you have cute pictures of dogs, especially if you're like, I can make your dog
When
stop
you're
being
burnt
bored.
out, what's going on? It's because, is it happening out of actual physical exhaustion, or is it more, it's Wednesday and you're going into the next 8 hours and you hate that you're doing that?
Yes. Like every couple
Look,
weeks
Allie,
I just get like
I think-
physically exhausted.
I think you're
and then every once in a while it's like mental exhaustion too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Allie's drilling these practical advices. Like, I'm a big fan of getting a different job that pays you less than the thing you like. I just,
as a bridge.
no, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just also a pretty big fan of like selling homes.
I
when
don't know if
people
I
are-
agree with the selling your
I
house.
get it, and it
I
doesn't
think you
work
find
for
something
everybody.
else, because I think you could probably find something else that you love in the dog
Allie,
world.
you know what's really interesting? A lot of the Silicon Valley people that made a ton of money in the last wave of all this
Sold their
insurance
houses?
never owned a home and continue not to. I'm really serious about this. I think owning a home and going to college in 25 to 40 years is going to look more like women should stay home and raise families did 30 years ago, 50 years ago. I'm not kidding.
Really?
I really do.
Why?
Because I think the practicality around them was more realistic for the world we lived in the past.
But if you own a home, you're putting money towards something that you own. If you're renting something, you're putting money towards something that you don't get back.
But when you take into account people not knowing how to put down deposits, which may be the answer to this question, right?
Right. You have to do it smart, and you have to,
But
yeah.
that's not what actually manifests,
That's
right?
true.
And so, like, to me, when you take $300,000 or $50,000 or $10,000 out of your account and you add a mortgage, to me, for what? For what? Okay, so you have an asset, so you're making an assumption that the appreciation of that is going to turn into something that you sell and then move to Florida? Like, I think there's,
But I don't think it has to be a huge gain. If you can gain, $50,000 or $100,000 or whatever it is from selling your house to upgrading a little bit.
Is that $50,000 or $100,000 worth living another 4.5 years in an unhappy state on a daily basis?
I think there's other things she could be doing.
She's
not be
fucking
in it.
answering questions that I don't like. She has no extra rooms. Her husband is
She can
working
get a
and
different-
contributing.
she can get a different day job.
She hasn't given us a whole lot of other things.
And she's got the support of her husband who wants her to pursue this full time. I think there's a way for her to do
How
it.
well is the dog business doing?
Fairly well.
What does that mean?
I'm pretty much I'm booked out for the next 2 weeks with appointments. I have
how much money have you made?
and consults coming in.
Let me ask you a question. Without being delirious, and your best guess, how much do you think you could make a year if you went full time? Just your best guess. Be relatively conservative. Like, don't be emotionally excited. Like, try to really give me an answer here. Like, what do you think?
Guaranteed I could make as much as I'm making at the day job, probably another 20 grand more than that, so like 60
So
grand.
now what's happening is the
Annual.
action, ready? Now what's happening with you is the debate that Allie and I are having in a great way, which is the thing that drives me like you cannot imagine, which is perception versus reality.
Yeah. Just do it.
You are taking on your husband's lack of interest in risk and making it your own in a world where if you do not quit your job tomorrow,
just quit your job.
I'm pissed.
Yes, quit your job. You will have such a short amount of downtime. Prepare for that time. Get ready. Make sure you guys don't spend any money that you absolutely don't have to spend. Even if it takes you, I think maybe not tomorrow. If it takes you a month to get your your ducks in a row, so you can then say, okay, I'm going to quit. I'm going to give myself a month to build up my business. And then you're done.
Build up
you
your business.
Do it.
You mean the business that pays you as much as the fucking job you had that you hate, that makes you have mental burnout?
This is like entrepreneurship 101. Like, this is the problem, honestly, and I don't know if you agree, Gary, that most entrepreneurs have. They are so afraid to leave their jobs and to pursue their passion, usually because of money. Which is why, it's like either now, maybe you're so far gone that you're so unhappy, but to all entrepreneurs out there listening, if you have intent and hope to eventually start your own business, start putting money aside in a secret account that you cannot touch now. So once you're really ready to pursue that, you have a cushion. I feel like so many people I talk to don't have they're not set up to start their business, and then they get to the point where they're burned out.
And their answer is to raise capital, not to build something practical.
Like, get yourself to a position, or if there's, your mate or parents or somebody who can give you that like buffer, that cushion, so then you can go and do it. You have to just get yourself prepared to it. Sometimes that takes a year of planning.
Virginia, who's in your world saying jump, and who's in your world saying don't jump?
My husband's saying jump in a little while.
How long has he been saying that?
Not that long, because I haven't really been gung ho about going full time. Like, I've been saying, next year I'll do it. Like last year I was saying next year's the year, and now that I'm here, I'm like, okay, by the end of the summer. And he's going, if you're ready, then okay, by the end of the summer.
Listen, life is short, my friend. Like, it's like life is too short to be like doing something that you're not happy in. Like, it's like...
Yeah.
Allie's tune has changed because you gave her... Because what I love about Allie in gathering here...
Still don't want her to sell her house.
That's fine, and I respect the shit out of that. And I'll tell you why. You don't want her to sell her house because your filter is proper. It's very practical.
Yeah.
Everything that's come out of your mouth has been so disproportionately practical. The only difference between you and I on this issue is I have a perspective today that believes selling a home is a practical behavior, and you don't, and that's okay. But everything you've been saying is practical. The reason Allie's changing her tune to go now and life is short is you've given her the data and the information to know this transition is practical. I've got news for you, by the way. This is, by doing this for a long time, you're going to do 25 to 50% better than you think.
Yeah.
Just so you know real quick, when you call back in a year, you're going to make 50% more than your job because of everything I've heard here for the last 15 minutes.
And by the way, I think you called in today because you wanted us to tell you to do it.
100%.
And we're telling you to do
Absolutely.
it. Quit your
100%.
job, pursue your dreams.
Get your husband on the phone.
Yeah.
Three-way. What's his name? What's your husband's name?
He's in a really big board meeting, actually.
What's
Gary.
his name?
He can get on the phone.
What's his name?
Jake.
I want you, me, and Jake on a phone in the next 24 hours. I want you to email Gary@VaynerMedia.com. I want me, you, and Jake
I'm going to miss the call.
Me, you, Allie, you can be part of it. Four-way call.
Call me.
Four-way call, that new FaceTime group shit, and I want to tell, listen to me, and listen to me good. You need to move fast.
I mean, the world could end next week.
And there's no doubt that this is what you should be doing.
Yeah. There really isn't.
And you, by the way, the reason you've been recently burnt out more is because
you're ready.
You switched. You switched.
Yeah.
Your switch went off, and now it's all terrible. It's why in fourth grade I quit school. I switched in fourth grade. In fourth grade, I switched from school is the way out, school is good, school will help me, to oh fuck, school will not help me, school is not the way out, and I switched dramatically earlier than most people. But this is when you switch, when you're in a relationship. 1 week earlier, you're in love. We're going to get married. Life is amazing. And then something happens, and you switch. And then 3 months later, people break up. Like, this is, you know that your switch switched.
Yeah.
And now you're unhappy. And by the way, you're going to get systematically more unhappy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's only one way to go from here.
Virginia, you switched.
Virginia, do it.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it so much, Gary and Allie. I really do.
Good luck.
Good luck.
And Virginia, don't take the high of this 17-minute, 33-second call.
Hold on to it.
And like you need to hold, like this is, you need this tonight when you talk to Jay. You need this tomorrow. You need this. Do not do what everybody does, which you're hyped as fuck now, and your head's like, yep, Monday or a month from now, and like. The reason I want you to go tomorrow and not 30 days from now is I'm worried about the vulnerability of 30 days from now actually becomes September, the day after Labor Day, which then actually becomes Christmas, when then something weird happens, and all of a sudden it becomes, and fucking fuck, Virginia.
Yeah.
Fucking fuck, Virginia.
And meanwhile, I asked if I could curse on the
Hell
show.
yeah.
Like, fucking quit tomorrow. Let's go.
I'm with you.
And if you quit tomorrow, I'll make you a promise. If you quit tomorrow, I will personally, I never do this, I will personally heavily shout out your business on social to get you 50 clients you would have never had.
I will too.
And Allie will too. But you must quit tomorrow. And you have to prove it to me.
You're so intense.
A little bit.
You want her to sell her house and quit her job.
I do.
You know what? You can come live with Gary too.
You sure can, because I'm fucking about happiness here.
Yeah. You guys rock. Thank you so much.
What's going to happen tomorrow?
She's going to quit her job and sell her house.
I'm fucking quitting, man.
Virginia, are you going to quit tomorrow?
Yeah.
You swear?
Yeah, I am.
No, for real. Don't fuck with me because my emotions get crazy.
For real, Gary.
Because you're ready, right?
I am.
You quit 6 weeks ago, 13 weeks ago. Now you're just going through negative motions.
Yeah. I am.
I know. All right. I love you.
And this is so fun.
So fun.
Let's do this all day.
Love you both too.
Bye-bye.
Good luck.
Well, listen, don't say too much because, we're going to get bombarded by TV producers and being like, you two!
We should have a show!
You two! All right, I got to get you out of here. Thank you.
Yes.
Question of the day. You get to ask it. Every time a guest is on here, they get to ask the question of the day. Now, be selfish or curious here. You're going to get thousands of answers on social, so what question do you want to ask masses? Whether you want to be very directly to your business, something macro, wherever you want to go, this is your opportunity. But the question of the day from now.
What's your age demo? Do you know?
Yeah.
Of course you know.
It's kind of like, so it's like very heavy 17 to 35-year-old male. Then,
male?
Yeah.
Well, I never get male demo.
That's 65%.
Okay.
But then 35% is like 27 to 49-year-old female.
Okay. I knew about this question, so I was thinking about it all day. I'm kind of curious, like, what, in, like, today's society, like, what is the most, like, with social media and everything, like, what is the most important, what do people care, what do you care about the most in the world? Like, is it, like, your family, is it your job? Like, I'm just so curious, like, what is driving people today? And before we go off the air, so a girl in my office, her name is Stacy Levine. She's my Stacy. She's my social media.
Yes.
Like I don't know what her actual title is. Shit.
I
Stacy, I love you. She's like so near and dear to my heart. She's obsessed with you.
Thank you,
I told
Stacey.
her that I would give you her a shout out and you would give her a shout out.
Stacy, I love. Where is she in LA?
She's in California.
Well, I hope I get to meet you, Stacy. Thank you so much for the love. Thanks for watching. Allie,
And thank you for
being
having
on
me.
the show.
This was
You're
so
right. This is
fun. You guys are all
Thank
awesome.
you.
This is so cool.
You keep asking questions. We'll keep answering them. On this episode, rock star entrepreneur Allie